They didn't even put in the effort to make it believable. They just copied and pasted the same excuse, word for word, like I was too clueless to notice. I'm Lucas, 32 years old, and I've never been the look at me kind of guy. I'm the quiet one, the dependable one, the guy who shows up without a fuss, pays the check, picks up your dry cleaning when you forget, and somehow always ends up being the designated driver at family gatherings, even when they weren't supposed to be gatherings at all. I wasn't the star of the family. That role usually belonged to my cousin Jasmine, or maybe my brother Caleb, or honestly, just whoever was causing the most chaos at the time. Me, I was the reliable one, the one everyone sent a quick thanks text to when rent was due or when they couldn't log into Netflix. It happened so gradually, the shift from being part of the family to being their backup plan, their financial cushion stitched beneath the wreckage of their lives. At first, you don't even realize it. You just think they're having a tough time, and you help out because that's what family's supposed to do, right? But then your own birthday comes around, and suddenly everyone's busy, just not busy with you. It all started 2 weeks earlier when I dropped a message in the family group chat. Hey, thinking of doing a birthday dinner. Nothing fancy, just grabbing a table at Amici's next Friday. Let me know if you can come. I even offered to pick up the tab. Not that it shocked anyone. I'd been covering the bill for years, long enough that they didn't even bother pretending to reach for their wallets anymore. The responses came in slowly, mostly just emojis, or the classic, I'll try to be there from my mom, which always translated to, I won't be there, but I don't want to argue. By the time the day arrived, only two people had confirmed, Aunt Monica and her husband, Victor. And even that was shaky. Monica had texted the night before, if Victor's gout isn't acting up, we'll be there, sweetheart. Looking back, I should have known. But like a fool, I still got dressed up, pressed my best shirt, reserved the big table, told the hostess we'd probably be a party of 10, maybe more. She gave me a polite smile and sat me near the window, laying out enough place settings to keep hope alive. At 6 p.m., I sat there sipping water by myself. At 6:15, the first message came in, from my brother. Hey man, something came up. We'll celebrate another time. I read it once, then again. There was something so hollow about it. No reason, no sorry, no actual effort. 5 minutes later, my mom sent the same thing. Same words, same punctuation. Then came my uncle, then my cousin. One after another, like dominoes falling. It felt robotic, like they were all reading from a shared script. I just sat there, watching it play out on my phone like some lazy, half-hearted assembly line of excuses. Still, I stayed. Ordered a pasta dish I didn't even want. Told the waiter I'd wait a little longer, just in case. No one showed. I paid the bill. Tipped well. Walked out of that restaurant with a plastic bag of leftovers and a kind of cold anger that doesn't burn. It freezes, makes everything inside you go still. Number. The parking lot was nearly empty. I sat in my car with the engine running, mindlessly scrolling on my phone. And that's when I saw it. Jasmine's Instagram story. A boomerang video of her holding a birthday hat over her French bulldog, Whiskers. The caption, Happy Bark Day Whiskers. And there they were, all of them. My mom laughing with a slice of cake in her hand. Caleb helping tie a bow around the dog's collar. My aunt toasting with champagne. Every single person who had something come up. All gathered together. For a dog. I don't know how long I sat there. Eventually, my hands just moved. I opened my banking app, pulled up the scheduled rent payments for my mom and my brother, temporary loans. Helping them out. Then the automatic transfer I'd set up for my aunt's phone bill. The one I'd been covering since her cards got hacked. I canceled them. All of them. Then I logged into the utilities dashboard. Gas, power, water. Shut them all off. Not right then, but scheduled for early morning. So they'd wake up to silence. And not the peaceful kind. Finally, I reached up and pulled the spare car key off my dashboard. The one for Caleb's used Audi. The one I'd co-signed on so he could get back on track. I slipped it into my jacket pocket, drove home with the headlights off. The streets were quiet. Diamond songs I didn't text, didn't call, didn't blow up the group chat, didn't ask why. I let the silence speak for me. I let them stew in it. The next morning, my phone lit up. My mom, Caleb, Jasmine, all calling. I ignored them. The group chat was blowing up. Is something wrong with the utilities? Liam, are you awake? Did the bank mess up the auto pay? And then the one that really got me, from Caleb. Bro, what's going on? The whiskers thing was last minute. You're seriously overreacting. Overreacting. That word stuck in my throat like a fishbone. She posted a Facebook status that read, "Some people will punish you just for not being available when it's convenient for them. Just remember, real family isn't conditional." It got 4 likes and 1 comment from Aunt Monica, dripping with passive aggression. Maybe if you appreciated him, he'd still answer your calls. I didn't say a word. Not yet. Instead, I started doing some digging. I pulled up every account, every document, every forgotten paper trail tied to my name, insurance policies, gym memberships, vehicle registrations, and that's when the realization hit me. I wasn't their relative. Not really. I was infrastructure. The invisible scaffolding holding everything together, one that paid the bills, carried the load, and never asked for anything back. But that structure, it was about to vanish. That evening, my phone lit up again. But it wasn't just texts and missed calls anymore. Now it was voicemails, long, rambling ones, some angry, some borderline pathetic. My brother left one that started with, "Look, man," and quickly devolved into some guilt-ridden monologue about how I'd always used money to manipulate the family, as if being dependable was some kind of power move. My mom left too. The first was drenched in sugary sweetness. "Lucas, sweetheart, this isn't like you. We love you. Please don't do this. Just call me." Then came the second, 2 hours later, and the tone had shifted. "I don't know what kind of grudge you're holding, but taking it out on your own mother? That's a new low even for you." A new low. From me? I couldn't even bring myself to respond. Not yet. I needed space. Not to act out of emotion, but to finally act with intention. Because for once, I wasn't just cutting the cord. I was about to unravel it, strip it down, expose every twisted strand they'd knotted around me. All the fake emergencies, the pretend gratitude, the selective memory. And yeah, maybe, I wanted them to sit in the dark long enough to understand just how much I'd been giving and how little they'd earned it. So I started making a list. I began small. The family phone plan, gone. No warning, no explanation. I just logged in, removed their lines, and watched the confirmation email hit my inbox. I pictured Jasmine at the dog park, refreshing her Instagram and wondering why nothing would load. My uncle yelling into a dead phone before realizing it wasn't a signal issue. And Caleb? He'd probably blame the carrier, like always. Then came the car. I didn't take it immediately. I let him drive it for a few more days. Let him think everything was still normal. Then on a quiet Saturday night, I parked a few houses down, walked up to his driveway and drove off with it. The spare key still worked. The doors weren't even locked. I left a sticky note on the windshield of his other car, the busted one with the broken taillight. It read, "Since I'm just a wallet to you, consider this a budget cut." By Monday, the panic started to shift from private messages to public drama. Caleb posted on Facebook, "Family means loyalty until you make more money than everyone else and suddenly think you're better than us." He didn't tag me. Of course he didn't. People like him never do. But anyone with half a brain knew exactly who he was talking about. A few people even liked it. His girlfriend chimed in with, "You deserve better, babe." Better than what exactly? A brother who paid your rent? Who financed your move 3 cities over? Who covered your hospital bills when you didn't have insurance? I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my inbox. I emailed the landlord. Well, my mother's landlord technically, except the duplex she lived in. I owned it. The lease had been under my name for legal reasons, but she lived there rent-free for 4 years. I covered everything. Taxes, upkeep, even new paint when she got tired of the old colors. But now I sent this. This email serves as formal notice. The current occupant has 30 days to vacate the premises unless she agrees to begin paying market rent immediately. I attach pictures of the home, a suggested lease agreement, and updated payment instructions. I didn't send her a personal message, didn't need to. I knew it would get to her. And it did, judging by the furious email that hit my inbox 48 hours later with the subject line, "Wow," followed by a simple, "Really? Yeah, really." It was like I'd kicked over a beehive after years of standing still while they swarmed me, assuming I'd never swing back. Now I was cruel. Now I was heartless. Now I was the one overreacting. Each one had their own version of the story. My mom, my brother, my cousin, twisting it like bad fiction. They said I was abandoning them, said I'd changed, claimed I was punishing them over one mistake. One mistake? I scrolled through our old texts. It wasn't one. It was hundreds. My birthday wasn't where it began. It was just the first time I finally opened my eyes. There was that time they asked me to co-sign Caleb's car loan because he was finally getting his act together with a new job. And then just 3 weeks later, he quit to dive into crypto full-time. Then there was Jasmine, asking me to front her vet bill because Whiskers is like your godchild, only to post selfies from a weekend spa getaway 48 hours later. And my mom, crying over the phone again because her water got shut off. I wired the money instantly, didn't ask why, didn't need to. That was the pattern. I never questioned it. I just filled in the blanks with trust and got drained for it every single time. But the worst part wasn't the money, it was the guilt. That quiet, constant feeling in the pit of my stomach whispering, if you stop helping, you're the bad guy. That maybe saying no made me selfish. That maybe I was the problem. I leaned against the frame of the door. Technically, my car, but go on. He looked at me, jaw clenched. This isn't how you fix things, man. I nearly laughed. Fix things? You mean after you all ghosted me on my birthday and threw a party for a dog? That wasn't the plan, he said. Jasmine said it was just going to be a few people and save it. I cut him off. You could have called. You didn't. You could have sent something honest. You didn't. You could have shown up at Amishi's. You didn't. But now that the gravy train's derailed, you're suddenly at my door? He flinched. Good. He ran a hand over his face. Look, we messed up. I know. But you don't have to burn everything down just to prove a point. I stared at him. No, I said. I don't have to. I want to. And then I shut the door. But I knew that wasn't the end. Not by a long shot. Because desperation, it makes people sloppy. And when people get desperate, they start making moves they can't undo. The next one didn't come from Caleb. It came from my mom. 3 days after that knock, I found a thick envelope waiting in my mailbox. No return address. Just my name scribbled in handwriting I'd recognize anywhere. Inside was a letter, handwritten, 2 pages long. Folded at the end was a faded photo. Me, maybe 5 or 6, grinning in front of a birthday cake. My mom behind me with her hands on my shoulders like we were a postcard family. The letter began, I don't know when you became this cold, Lucas, but I miss my son. She went on to tell the story of my childhood, all the sacrifices she made, how she worked night shifts to buy me a bike, how she never asked for anything in return except love and understanding. She wrote about how hard it was to raise boys alone after Dad passed. Then right on cue came the pivot. You always understood, Liam. That's what made you special. You were the strong one, the quiet one, the helper. And that part, that cut deeper than I expected. Because she wasn't wrong. I did help, but not out of strength, out of guilt, out of fear, out of this twisted, unspoken belief that if I didn't carry the weight, no one else would. Worse, that maybe I wasn't worth anything to them unless I did. She ended the letter with, I hope you find your way back to this family before it's too late. We still love you, even if you've forgotten how to love us back. It was a guilt grenade, wrapped in nostalgia, tied with a ribbon of martyrdom, and for a moment, just a moment, it almost worked. I felt the old strings tug, then I looked at the photo again and realized something. It wasn't the birthday I remembered, because in my version of that day, it had ended with me crying. Caleb had smashed my cake, thrown it off the table because my gift was bigger. And Mom? She yelled at me for making a scene. That photo? It was the only good 5 seconds of that day. A frozen frame, one moment of peace, before the shouting began. Now weaponized, repurposed to pull me back. That was the tipping point. The next morning, I packed the photo and let her into a box, dropped it on her porch, unopened, unfolded, no note, just silence, returned to sender. But that silence didn't last long, because the next week, they escalated. They didn't call, they didn't text, they ambushed me. They sent someone to find me at Octomy, a local cafe I always hit on Thursdays during lunch. I hadn't changed my routine. In hindsight, that was my mistake. I was sipping an Tylerano, half lost in a book, when I heard a voice I hadn't heard in years. A book? The voice cut through the quiet like a blade. Still pretending you're smarter than the rest of us, huh? I looked up. Uncle Eli, if you've ever met someone who manages to ooze sleaze and entitlement at the same time, like a scam artist in a family reunion hoodie, you know the type. Eli had burned bridges with half the family years ago after borrowing money he never returned. But every time there was chaos, he found a way to slither back in, like a vulture circling the smell of fresh blood. He dragged out the chair across from me without asking, plopped down like we were lifelong friends catching up after a long week. I told them not to send that letter, he said. I said, Liam's a man. You talk to men face to face. But your mom, she's got a soft heart, you know? That woman raised you. I said nothing, just stared, still, calm. He took my silence as a welcome mat. I don't know what kind of tantrum they told you about, or what they said that got you this fired up, but come on, you're hurting the people who care about you. Your mom's been a wreck. Your brother's crashing on my couch. Then he leaned in. You really gonna drag this out? I blinked slowly. So is this the part where you recite the lines they sent you with? Or is the guilt trip just something you improvised? His smirk wavered. I came because I care, he said. But if you keep heading down this path, you're going to end up real alone, Lucas. That's not what family's about. I leaned forward, matching his energy. Number. That's exactly what family's been about. At least mine. Pretending that silence is love, that obligation equals connection, that guilt counts as currency. His mouth twitched, unsure whether to argue or retreat. I'm not the bad guy here, he muttered. You were never even part of the real story, I replied, lifting my cup. He didn't leave quietly. He scoffed, muttered something under his breath, and knocked over the creamer tray as he stormed out. The barista shot me a look. I shrugged and went back to my book. But that wasn't the finale. That was just the preview. Because 2 days later, I got a notification from my bank. Someone had tried to log into my account, then tried again, and again. Multiple password reset attempts, all blocked. I immediately changed everything, locked every account, contacted my bank, flagged every profile tied to my name. I'd grown up with these people. I knew what they were capable of when the tap ran dry. And then came the text that confirmed it all, from Caleb. You think you're better than us? Fine. But don't forget who changed your diapers, who fed you. You owe this family everything. And when mom's gone, don't show up crying. I stared at the screen for a long time. That line, when mom's gone, wasn't just a warning, it was a threat. It was the same line they always used when they needed to rope me back in. They still thought they could guilt me, still thought love meant debt, still thought they could scare me into returning. But not this time. This time I wasn't retreating. I was cutting them out, completely. No confusion, no chance for misunderstanding, no Facebook martyrdom posts where I'm cast as the villain. They were about to experience what life without me actually looked like. I didn't reply to Caleb, not with a message, not with a call, not with a single word. Instead, I logged into my financial management system, the one I use for my consulting work. It was where I'd set up every recurring transfer, every emergency fund, every account labeled with someone else's name. Folders like Mom, Utilities, Caleb, auto. Jasmine, pet emergencies. What began as temporary help had quietly become their lifeline. They never asked when it would stop. They just assumed it wouldn't. That day, I deleted the entire family support folder. But I wasn't done. I spent the next week planning my final move. This wasn't about revenge or drama. It was about closure, clean, unmistakable, permanent. I sold the duplex my mother had been living in. It was fully in my name, bought years ago after I landed my first big client. She'd moved in during a tough time after a failed investment. It was meant to be temporary. There was no rent agreement, no exit plan, not even a thank you. That house had become her throne, a symbol of entitlement I was no longer willing to maintain. I didn't evict her. I sold the entire property to a development firm that had been buying up most of the area. They offered over market value, no questions asked. I signed the deal and let the process play out. 2 weeks later, she got the official notice, not from me, but from the new owners. I expected an explosion. What I got was silence. 3 full days of it. Then came the voicemail. No yelling, no tears, just an icy, composed voice. So that's it. You're cutting me out like I'm nothing, like I didn't raise you. You sold my home? Over a birthday dinner? That's what the voicemail said. No apology, no mention of the lies, of the dog party, of the years she spent subtly, sometimes blatantly, manipulating me into covering the costs of everyone else's life while quietly neglecting my own. No, in her eyes, I had committed the betrayal. I had crossed the line. I had done the unthinkable. I'd chosen myself. And that was the part she couldn't forgive. I let that voicemail sit in my inbox, unanswered, just like all the others before it. But I wasn't finished yet. I filed the paperwork to sever every legal tie I had to them. No more cosign loans, no shared accounts. I even updated the beneficiary on my life insurance policy, something I hadn't thought about in years, until I saw Caleb's name still listed as my emergency contact. I didn't sell the car I took back. I donated it. He trashed the interior anyway. May as well let someone else get some use out of it. I changed my number. New SIM, new carrier. And I only gave it out to 3 people. My best friend, my boss, and my therapist. Then I moved. Not far, just far enough. New building, new address, gated access. No one gets in unless I buzz them. I didn't post about it, didn't announce it. I just vanished from their radar. They didn't take it well. Jasmine tried to stir the pot on Instagram, posting a string of stories about toxic family members who forget their roots, clearly aimed at me. One of them was a photo of her holding a crying Whiskers with the caption, "He doesn't understand why Uncle Liam doesn't love him anymore." I almost laughed. Caleb took it further. He tried to go through a mutual friend, asking them to pass along a message. The friend refused, told him flat out, "He doesn't owe you a thing." And my mother, she didn't go public. She went quiet. And then she started writing. 1 letter a week, handwritten, always the same structure. A soft opening followed by carefully scripted guilt. "I never meant to hurt you. You've just always been so sensitive." Or, "I wish you'd remember all I did for you." Sometimes she included photos, old snapshots, me and Caleb as kids, me and her on graduation day, always smiling. Frozen little proofs of love meant to win me back. I burned the first letter, tossed the second. By the 5th, I stopped opening them entirely. And then, finally, silence. No more letters, no more calls, no more attempts to pull me back in. For the first time in my adult life, I could breathe without guilt pressing on my chest like a weight I didn't ask for. I started going to the gym again, picked up writing, something I hadn't touched in years. I started volunteering at a nonprofit that helps young adults aging out of foster care. They were shocked at how easily I handled budgets and financial planning. I didn't explain why I was so good with money. Didn't tell them I'd been running a household of grown adults since I was barely out of college. It didn't matter anymore. 3 months later, I saw one of them, out in the wild, Caleb. He was standing outside a strip mall, pacing with his phone pressed to his ear, talking loudly. He looked different, thinner, worn. His shoes were scuffed. His energy? Fragile. I was ready to turn around when he spotted me. For a moment, he just stared. Then he walked over. Not quickly, not with anger, just tired. "Hey," he said. I said nothing. He looked down at the ground. "You're really gone, huh?" Still, I didn't answer. He opened his mouth, then stopped himself. "Forget it." He turned to leave, paused, glanced back over his shoulder. "You know, Mom still checks the mailbox. Hopes one of those envelopes will have something from you." I looked at him, really looked, and said the last words I would ever say to any of them. "She already got everything I had to give." He didn't reply, just nodded once, and walked away. That was it. No teary reunion, no courtroom drama, no last-minute apology that made everything okay. Just the end. The final birthday I spent with them, I sat alone in a restaurant, humiliated, invisible. The first birthday I spent without them, I was in my new place. I ordered my favorite takeout, got 3 video calls from people who actually gave a damn. No guilt, no expectations, just peace. And as I closed my laptop that night, I realized something. Leaving wasn't the hard part. The hard part was admitting I should have left a long, long time ago.